You might think that intelligence is something you're born with. After all, we talk about people being gifted or having a high IQ as if it's a fixed trait. But here's the thing, it's more like a muscle that can be flexed and strengthened over time. And I'm gonna tell you how. The nature versus nurture debate has been going on for a long time. Are our behaviors and traits determined by our genes or by our environment? Well, it turns out that it's a bit of both. You could say that nature gives you the potential and nurture makes it actual. The good news is that our brains are actually very plastic, which means they can change in response to experience. In fact, every day your brain is making new connections and strengthening existing ones. This is called neuroplasticity. And although the term implies that the brain is always changing in response to experience, it doesn't necessarily mean that those changes are in a positive direction. Think about it like this: if you don't use your muscles, they'll atrophy. Same thing with your brain. If you don't challenge yourself mentally, your cognitive abilities will decline. On the other hand, if you push yourself, you'll grow in amazing ways. Your brain is actually capable of generating new neurons throughout your life. This process is called neurogenesis. Now, where do these new neurons come from? They come from stem cells. And stem cells are like the raw material for all other cells in the body. They haven't yet become anything specific. In the brain, there's a special population of stem cells called neural stem cells, which can give rise to neurons. These neural stem cells are located into areas of the brain, the hippocampus and the olfactory bulb. The hippocampus is involved in things like memory and spatial navigation, so it makes sense that we would need to generate new neurons there throughout our lives. We learn new things every day, and we need to be able to store those memories. We also need to be able to find our way around new places. As for the olfactory bulb, it's involved in our sense of smell. And again, it makes sense that we would need to replace those neurons over time, since our sense of smell can decline with age. But how does this relate to intelligence? Well, when you learn something new, it's like a workout for your brain. You're challenging your neurons to form new connections and grow. The more you learn, the stronger those connections become. And the stronger those connections become, the smarter you get. This is why it's so important to challenge ourselves mentally throughout our lives. It's not just about keeping our brains sharp, it's about helping our brains grow. It's like lifting weights. If you don't push yourself, you won't get stronger. But if you challenge yourself, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. And this isn't just true for kids. We can continue to learn and grow our whole lives. In fact, it's during adulthood that most of our learning occurs. Of course, it's easier to learn when you're young. Our brains are more plastic when we're kids. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn and grow as adults. We absolutely can. It just takes a little more effort. But what if you're one of those people who just doesn't feel like they're good at something? What if you've tried to learn something and it just didn't stick? It's not because you're not smart. It's because you probably have a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that intelligence is something that's set in stone. You either have it or you don't. People with a fixed mindset don't see intelligence as something that can be developed through hard work and persistence. They believe that success is determined by ability alone. This can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're not smart, then you're less likely to challenge yourself. And if you don't challenge yourself, then you'll never know what you're capable of. So, what's the solution? Well, you need to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that intelligence can be developed through hard work and persistence. People with a growth mindset understand that success is not determined by ability alone. Instead, it's the result of effort, learning, and persistence. And of course, your environment plays a big role in this as well. If you're constantly stressed out or living in poverty, it's going to be harder to learn and grow. But that's not an excuse. You can still do it. You just need to be more persistent. Here's the bottom line. Don't believe the myth that intelligence is fixed. It's not. You can grow your intelligence. It just takes effort. But that effort is definitely worth it. The rewards of learning are just too great to pass up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.